My great-grandfather, Otis Robbins, started Robbins Lumber Company in 1881. And my brother and I are the fourth generation of running the company. We retired a few years ago, and now my three children, Jim, Alden, and Catherine, are running the company. Well, our main product is eastern white pine boards. We make like knotty pine paneling for putting up inside your living room or your den. We also make siding, like clapboard siding. We do shelving. I think private ownership is the only way it should be. I don't really believe in federal ownership. Now I do believe there has to be some national parks for particularly pristine areas and outstanding areas. But nobody manages the land better than the private landowners. You know, if I own the land, I'm going to take care of it. But if the government owns the land, everybody thinks everybody else is taking care of it. So being a private landowner, you know, why would I destroy or damage what I make my living off of? You know, a farmer isn't going to go out and destroy his fields. We aren't going to go out and destroy our forests. Human beings naturally oppose change. And so when they go by and see in there it's been trees for the last 75 years, and all of a sudden the trees are gone, they think the forest has been destroyed. What's really happened, of course, is a rebirth of a new forest.
I started farming because I wanted to be home with the kids, but still get to be outside. So I was there when they got on the bus in the morning and there when they got off the bus, but I got to do field work every day. It was perfect. We grow all kinds of vegetables. We grow all winter in heated greenhouses. In the summer, there's everything. Peppers, green beans, onions, tomatoes, the whole thing. We've got a few pigs, we've got some laying hens. Our biggest challenge is the weather, but there's also having enough help, and then the ever-changing government programs that may or may not help you from time to time.
Running a private business like we do, you're always concerned about government policy. You know, for example, the way we manage the woods, is the state going to change their laws saying that we can do this or we can't do that? And you know, the lawmakers don't always understand what goes on the land and understand what way we do with forestry backgrounds and having managed the land for many generations. So there's always challenges about government policy, not only the way you manage the land, but it also like labor laws and environmental laws and so forth. You know, what may be fine today, who knows, a year down the road they may change the law that makes it very difficult to do business.
We have thousands of farms and forest owners in Maine. And those people are faced with a bewildering mix of state, federal agencies, conservation groups that can help them do their job better and become more economically sustainable. LandCAN was developed to support private landowners across America. It's also the key to our forest products industry and our agriculture industry. LandCAN is the only site in the country that hosts every federal program that touches private landowners. All the equivalent state programs, all the conservation nonprofits, every land trust in the country, every conservation district, and over 40,000 for-profit businesses serving rural America. In total, we host over 87,000 pages of federal, state, nonprofit, and for-profit assistance providers.
So to have it someplace where you can just like look at it and figure it out and it's right there for you, that's hours of time, if not more likely it's actually finding things that you simply would have missed.
LandCAN's important because private landowners they're really running a corporation all by themselves in many cases, and a lot of activities, a lot of responsibilities, and so we try to encourage them to use the information that's available. In LandCAN, one of the big assets it can provide is providing information to private landowners so that they can manage their land better and benefit nature and wildlife. You
know, we who are foresters and loggers and lumbermen, we work hard and we think we know what we're doing, but we aren't very good at telling the story. LandCAN is. LandCAN is very good at telling the story. Plus, they've got the resources that people can go onto your website and they can look up and answer a lot of the questions for themselves.
Here in Maine, private landowners own about 95% of the land, although that's changing a little bit with new initiatives that are coming along. But even however successful an initiative is to get more land in public ownership, we're still dependent for hundreds and hundreds of years into the future on the private landowners and what happens to private land. What we have to do to be successful at that then is to keep the private landowner on the land. situation you don't want to have is a private landowner is forced to sell their land into ranchettes or small developments or things like that, because the minute they do that, the impact on wildlife and the impact on watersheds and on other natural resources is huge when you keep that land or break that land up into smaller pieces. And so it's really, really important to keep them on the land that way.
If you have a healthy environment, there are lower costs from government, and if you have a healthy farm and forest systems, you're providing goods and services that support rural America.
People are going to continue to be attracted to farming if they can see a way to make a decent living for their families. Having it be a successful business where we can make a product, sell it for a reasonable price, pay the employees a reasonable amount, and have people buy it and feel like they're getting good value. That's what's going to make it keep going.
Maine is 95% privately owned, so it's totally dependent on farms and forest landowners. We built LandCAN to provide all the information services that this constituency needs. We have been building this for 17 years, so it's a very robust system. This is all on a free platform, but to make it work, we need help for tomorrow and maintaining this system. We urge you to contribute and consider supporting LandCAN today.
Let's keep this collaboration growing and pass on to future generations a legacy of a beautiful rural America for their benefit and enjoyment.
LandCAN is your helping hand.
LandCAN is your helping hand.
LandCAN is your helping hand.
LandCAN is your helping hand.